Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends, and drop as many comments as you can to let us know how you felt about this story. Your feedback means a world to us, and it helps us bring you even more new stories. I met Emily on the very first week of college, not in some magical movie-like way, but in the most ordinary way possible. We were both standing in line at the campus coffee shop. She was in front of me, wearing this oversized beige sweater that looked like it could swallow her whole, her hair tied up in a messy bun with little strands falling out around her face, and she kept humming a tune under her breath while scrolling on her phone. I didn't even know why I noticed all of that, but I did. And when she ordered her drink and realized she didn't have enough cash because the card machine was down, I stepped in and said, "Don't worry, I got it." She gave me this smile, not the polite thank you kind of smile, but one that actually reached her eyes, and that was a moment she somehow lodged herself in my head without even trying. After that, I kept running into her in the library, in one of our shared gen ed classes, at random campus events I barely wanted to be at. Eventually, we started sitting together. First, just make small talk, but over weeks it became more comfortable, easier. She had this way of making you feel like the most interesting person in the room, even when you were saying the dumbest thing. I learned she loved tea, but only drank coffee when she was in a rush to survive, that she collected old postcards from thrift stores, that she couldn't whistle but pretended she could just to annoy her younger brother. And somewhere in those first few months, I started falling for her. Not in the dramatic, head-over-heels way you see in films, but in the quiet accumulation of little moments. The way she'd text me a picture of the sunset with no caption, because she knew I'd get it, or how she'd save the last bite of her dessert for me, because you always look like you wanted more. But I never told her. I had a million reasons. Fear of ruining the friendship, bad timing, her dating someone else for a few months, my own insecurity, and I kept telling myself it would be a perfect moment, some future day when it would all make sense. We went through all of college as best friends. She was there when I failed my first midterm and wanted to drop the class. I was there when she had a fight with her parents and cried in my car for an hour. We pulled all-nighters together before exams, ate instant noodles on her dorm floor, watched movies at my apartment when the weather got too cold to go anywhere. And every time I thought about telling her, I'd chicken out, thinking, not now. I'll have more time. After graduation, she got a job in our hometown, but I accepted an offer in another city. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd work there for a year or two, then come back and, I don't know, finally say what I've been holding in. We still talked almost every day, quick check-ins, dumb memes, sometimes long calls where she'd ask, "Were you visiting? You still owe me that coffee date from freshman year, remember?" And I'd laugh and say, "Yeah, I remember." I think part of me assumed she'd just wait. That life would pause for us until I was ready. 2 years went by like that. I dated other people casually, but no one stuck. No one felt like her. Then one Friday afternoon, I got a text from a mutual friend. "Hey, I thought you should know, Emily's getting married." At first, I thought it was a joke. Married? To who? When? But no, it was real. The guy was someone she'd met at work. Apparently, they'd been dating for a year, and I just hadn't known. She hadn't mentioned him much. Maybe because she knew how I felt without me ever saying it. Maybe because I'd never asked the right questions. I booked a flight home for the day of her wedding without even thinking. I told myself I'd be there to support her, but deep down, I think I wanted to see if there was still some unspoken thing between us. Some sign I wasn't imagining at all. The morning of the wedding was overcast, the kind of sky that makes everything feel heavier. I sat in the back row of the church, surrounded by faces I half recognized from college. And then the music started and she walked in. She was in this simple, elegant white dress, nothing over the top, just her, the same girl from the coffee shop years ago, but different, more poised, more grown-up. And when she smiled, my chest tightened so hard it hurt. She glanced around the room, her eyes scanning, and for a second, just a second, they landed on me. And in that moment, I swear there was something there, a flicker of recognition, of history, of all the words we never said. The ceremony went on. Vows were exchanged. Applause filled the air, and it was over. I don't remember much of the reception, except the moment I finally walked up to her. She hugged me right away, held on for a beat longer than necessary, and said, "You came." I told her, of course I did, tried to keep my voice steady. She introduced me to her husband, who seemed perfectly nice, perfectly wrong for her in every way my biased heart could see. Later, when we were alone for a minute, she looked at me with that same half smile from years ago and said, "I'm glad you're here. I didn't think you'd come." I wanted to say everything right then, that I'd loved her since that first coffee, that I'd been stupid, that I was sorry for every moment I let slip away. But the words caught in my throat. Instead, I just said, "I'm happy for you." And she nodded like she knew there was more but wasn't going to make me say it. We stood there in silence, the noise of the party swirling around us. And then someone called her name and she was gone. I flew back the next day, staring out the airplane window the whole way, replaying every conversation we'd ever had, every almost confession I'd swallowed. I kept thinking about how I'd always believed there would be more time, that someday I'd get my moment, and how stupid that was. Life doesn't wait. People don't wait. She had waited for me in her own way, through years of friendship, through unspoken feelings. And when I didn't step forward, someone else did. Now, sometimes when I'm walking to work, I'll pass a coffee shop and catch a glimpse of someone with their hair in a messy bun, humming to themselves, and for half a second, my heart thinks it's her. But it never is. And every time, I remember that coffee I still owe her, and how it will never happen, and how I have no one to blame but myself.